Hi there, my name is Ewan Nicholson. Welcome to my YouTube channel Remembering Love. I've had a little bit of a hiatus from doing videos, so I started off 2021 with more of a splutter than a bang, but here I am again. Thank you for waiting if you've been waiting. So now hopefully we'll get into a better routine with producing videos for 2021. Now the subject of today's video is looking at life as Groundhog Day as a good thing rather than something to kind of dread. And I'm using the reference of Groundhog Day because it's a pretty well-loved film. If you haven't seen it, the basic premise of the film is this guy Bill Murray, a reporter, gets stuck in a time loop that he goes through all these various kind of stages of grief where he's stuck in the same day repeating itself over and over and over. And at first he sort of fights it, then he resists it, then he tries to kill himself, and gradually he kind of learns these lessons about love and life and helping people, and somehow in that he kind of snaps out of it. But it's a good film. It's a very iconic film, and it's something that I think just kind of on some level resonated with people, and to the point where now it is like a figure of speech. You can say, I feel like my life is Groundhog Day, meaning I feel like my life is this same day repeating itself over and over and over. And generally when you say that, it has a kind of a negative tone to it. I feel like my life is repetitious. My life just keeps on the same loop over and over and over. I get up, I go to work, I come home over and over and over. And it has this kind of depressing feel to it. But what I'd like to propose today is looking at life as one day repeating itself over and over and over is actually a really positive thing. It's something to really work with. It's a really excellent framework to living life more fully, in a more of an engaging and productive way, rather than something that we should be dreading or trying to kind of get out of. So I'd like to explore that, why that is, why looking at life as it one day repeating itself as opposed to a series of chronological years of decades moving from one event to the other, why seeing life as one day repeating itself is a good thing. It's a thing to kind of really work with. So what happens, and this has been my experience, when you get to a certain age, particularly as you kind of push into your 30s and 40s, life does become repetitious. If you add kids to that, work to that, gradually over time, that newness of life starts to fade and you start to feel like you're doing the same stuff over and over. We all go to bed every day. We wake up every day. We often have the same morning routine where we have a shower, then we have a coffee. We take the same route to work. We deal with our kids. And although there are changes on a day-to-day basis, those changes are very slow and they're not day-to-day measurable. So this sense of repetition becomes very strong. Most of us probably eat the same 20 dinners over and over and over. We have variety, maybe 10. That the meals are the same, the restaurants we go the same, the friendships are the same, the conversations we have can often be the same. The stuff we watch on the TV feels like it's the same. There's nothing new on the TV anymore, kind of thing. And there is some degree of difference, but there is a sense of repetition over and over and over. You know, my kids are asking me once, why don't I get excited about my birthday? And I said, well, you know, when you have 45 or 46 of them, they just lose a little bit of their pizzazz or amazingness. But if you've only had 9 or 7 or 8 of them, there's still something to kind of really look forward to. And my kids are teenagers and they still have all this world in front of them, a new experience. But you get to a certain age and it's like, you're not in a cynical way, but it's like you've done most things, you've been places, and there's not a lot new anymore. And that can feel like, oh, it's like a grind. It's just this one day repeating itself over and over. But rather than looking at it as this kind of weighted thing, to see life as one day, first of all, is honest. Because the truth is, this whole idea we're in where we're working towards something else, and that something else, that event or person or situation or change, is going to change how we feel internally. Like if I get this promotion, if I lose this weight, if I get this person to love me, if I'm able to kind of get from here to there, then I'm going to feel different. That's a very pervasive myth in our society. Our economies run on that myth. Our education system is run on that myth, that we do everything we do today for some kind of tomorrow. And yeah, it's delusory, because what happens for most of us, we do all these things, we get to all these places, we achieve the things that we're told that should technically get us this feeling of serenity or peace or arrival, and maybe briefly we do, but then that part of us that's searching and grabbing and looking creates new things. and new objectives and new carrots in front of the donkey. And our whole economy and culture is just moving towards this arbitrary future point that just never seems to arrive. And then we die, basically. So we're doing all this and then it comes to some sort of abrupt end. And looking at life as just one day repeating itself takes that away. Because what it's really doing is saying, I just have this day, that's it. How I live this day is how I live my life. This day is my life. My life is just one day repeating itself over and over cumulatively, but that's all it is. It's just this one day. It is my Groundhog Day. And how I choose to live this life, how I approach this life, is this day is how I approach my life. And if I say I just have this day to work with, nothing else, there is no other future date, there's just this day, then it allows me to give myself to this day. How I am with my kids today, that's it. How I am with my wife, that's it, today. Do I conduct myself with dignity, with compassion, with kindness today? Because the idea that when this person's that way and when this bit over here is another way and I get this thing over here, then I'll be okay, then I'll be caring, then I'll be loving. That's the illusion. But to say, no, all I have, I'm taking it off the table, all I have is just this day. And how I give myself to this day is what really matters. And so I take away that fantasy that somehow tomorrow, when things are different, then I'll kind of take responsibility or then I'll kind of get on with things. But if I just say, no, I just have today. I just have this Groundhog Day, this one repetitious day, that how I brush my teeth, how I drink my coffee, how I wake up, how I deal with people today is what really matters and what really counts, is where the change happens. It happens today. If I don't start meditating today, I will not start meditating tomorrow. If I don't start being caring towards people, I won't start being caring towards people tomorrow. I just have this day. And that can be quite confronting because on one level, that fantasy that somehow, somewhere, tomorrow, it's all going to be a little bit better, it's very strong, and it can almost like I can put up with this BS of today, the grind, the monotony, the weariness of today, because somehow I've got this fantasy that when I move back to Australia, or when my wife is more this way, or my kids stop being so difficult, or whatever it is, then I take that away, then I'm just left with the present moment. I'm left with this is it. If I can't make this work, I'm not going to make that work. I'm deluding myself otherwise. Now there are circumstances where if you're in a war zone, you're in a famine, you're really in a difficult spot. The idea that somehow when I'm out of this, things could be better, look, that has validity. But for most of us, that's not the case. For most of us, the reality we're in today, some version of it more or less is where we're going to be tomorrow or in 5 years. And we think the repetition of life is based on the activities that we do. It's the brushing my teeth, it's 3 meals a day over 45 years is what? 40,000 meals, da, da, da. So we think it's the stuff that happens that makes life repetitious. But when we really get down to it and we really look at what is the most repetitious part of our day, often it's our reactions, it's our thought processes, it's how we are inside ourselves. My daughter says something to me in a rude manner, I react in a rude manner, that's repetitious. Something's not where I want it to be in my office because someone's gone and taken it, someone beat my kids, and that bugs me, that's repetitious. Often the repetition comes from emotions and reactions and thought processes and narratives that we're caught in that don't change. Actually, over time, they get more ingrained. And I say this to my wife at times, like if I'm repeating myself, if I'm saying the same story about some rant about politics or COVID or whatever it is I'm on, and I said it away, please tell me. One of my eldest daughters can be quite direct, and the other day she said, yeah, what you said was boring the first time, let alone now you're saying it the second time. And I was like, okay, kind of thanks for that, but yeah, genuinely thanks for that. Yeah, and when you get married, and you're with someone for a long time, you do tend to hear the same stuff over and over, the same speeches, the same rants, whatever it may be. That's the real grind, and that's the real opportunity. That how do I live my day more consciously, less habitually? And the habits aren't the things that we do. It's not the showering every day that is the habit. It's the thought process that we carry. It's the reactions that we're caught in. That's the mechanicalness of life. It's the internal states that keep repeating themselves over and over and over. And that's where some people have this fantasy where if like, oh, I'm so unhappy in this marriage or whatever, and if I'm with someone else, then I'm going to feel better, and gradually they get there. And not to say, obviously there are bad marriages that are, people are better leaving, but there are times where people really think that it's out there, and then they get there and that internal state follows them. It just follows them into everything they do because that's the repetition. So what we're able to do is see, one, the repetition of the grind that we're really dealing with is the grind of our mechanical nature, our mechanical thinking, our mechanical emotional reactions. That's really where the monotony is. And then we take away the illusion that all that's going to be different when tomorrow things change, and we say, I've just got today. This is my only day I have to kind of work with. So I'm going to give myself today. I'm going to live this day as fully as possible. Because if I don't, I will have not lived my life as fully. Because this is my life. This day is my life. There is no way around that. And if I live this day fully, consciously, as awake and as caring as possible, then I'm living my life as caring as possible. So it's like that quote, how we do one thing is how we do all things. How we do anything is how we do everything. That our approach, our view of things has a big impact on how we come at life. And to see our life as a Groundhog Day, as a gift, that I've just got this one day to work with over and over and over, I keep building and compounding on that, is a far more effective, less delusory way to live one's life, because we take away our excuses, we take away our future fantasies, and we give ourselves to living in the present with the awareness that it's the mechanicalness of my internal states where the heaviness and repetition comes, that every day can be more different and more new, even if I'm doing the same things over and over, because I do them with more awareness, more presence, more mindfulness, more kindness, and that's where my newness lies. Not in like novelty and entertainment. And this is the kind of the cultural fantasy we're in, that we have to be entertained, we have to be engaged, that I say that to my kids at times, I'm not your clown. It's not my job to keep you entertained and amused. I mean, that's not what it's about. Life isn't just about being distracted until we die, amused to death, as the Neil Postman book was titled. So how we give ourselves to what's in front of us, the presence we bring to the monotony, in inverted commas, of daily events is what matters, is what counts. And if we're able to do that today, we're able to do that for our lives. So look, I hope this has helped. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, please like and subscribe. Thank you for coming to my channel. If you've got some insights or comments on this, please put them in the comment section. I really appreciate that. And have a good day or evening. Take care. Bye-bye.